everyone, I'm Alexis the Ego Queen, and welcome back to another episode of Adeptus Podcastus. I almost said Egosession. This is episode 42. We've been going on forever, and we're all still alive.
Yeah, I mean, we're nearly at the 2-year anniversary now.
I know, it's crazy, right? Joining me, as always, is Tactica Imperialis.
Hello.
And Remlays from 40K Theories.
Hello, everyone.
So, first off, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, not bad. I'm just past caring with the French education system, and the hobby's going quite well. My Stormcast army, though it's AOS not 40k, has passed 4,000 points, and yeah, not so bad.
I'm surprised you didn't just end with, I'm done caring with the French.
I nearly did, but thought, no. I actually don't mind the French, I just don't like their education system.
Fair enough. As for me, I am going to apologize really quickly. There is a 3D printer going on in the background. If you guys hear that throughout this, I do apologize.
Ooh, 3D printing.
3D printing cosplay props, because this is the future of cosplay. It's no longer skill, it's what you can print.
Yeah, we've all made points in the past about 3D printing models, so I thought might as well just make the clarification before someone in the comments says so.
Indeed.
I'm just going to point this out right now. A good 3D printer can print 40k models.
Yes, but you shouldn't do it.
You shouldn't.
Support your hobby.
Support your local game store. Always support your local game store.
Or at the very least, use the internet and buy it through the official channels if you can afford it.
Or eBay. But...
Like I say, if you can afford it, go through the official channels. If not, eBay and stuff exists.
Just make sure you have your bottles of Dettol ready in the case of the latter.
Very true.
Yeah.
So, in the news this week, not
Fish
a
people.
lot. Well, yes, if we're going to talk Age of Sigmar, the Ironet Deepkin are absolutely amazing.
They are hilarious looking. They are the most out-of-place models I have ever seen.
Well,
That's a bit of a slight exaggeration, considering some of the other
That's
things
a
we've had
lot.
around.
That's a lot of an exaggeration.
Well, the only thing that I can think of is an employee from Games Workshop was all like, I need an idea for a new army. I need to wow people. I don't know what to do. And he's just like walking through Walmart or some kind of superstore, and he just walks down a fish aisle, looks over, he's like, I have an idea. I will make fish decorations models.
And clearly you haven't seen the Thimia.
No, I have. I'm just making the joke, obviously.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting for their master SpongeBob to actually be fieldable.
Quite honestly, though, the Ideneth, along with the Daughters of Cain, basically, if you want a Drakari army and want to play cross-system, you just get those two armies, because the Namati, the infantry, which I call them the Namati, which is what the name is, they are really good for mandrakes, I suspect. If you do a little bit of work with them, they could probably make really good mandrake conversions. The Daughters of Cain, obviously, you can make Slith, witches. The Eel Riders could make great Reaver Jetbike conversions. You've got the Sharks, who would probably work all right as little gunboats. So it might be too small for Venoms, but it will work as a good Viper Jetbike if you wanted to do that. And then you've got, of course, the Doom Turtle, the Leviathan, which, well, I leave that one up to you. But yeah, genuinely, if you're a 40k player and you just want to try an AOS army, you can't go far wrong with these guys, because at least you can make decent 40k conversions out of them.
Or if you want to make a hilarious cow army. Just saying.
You've completely... What? Oh, fish reference.
Did you say
No,
the
actually-
foot soldiers are called the Illuminati?
That is hilarious.
And wrong.
But
I was just checking I hadn't misheard you.
No,
I
Nat
actually
Marty.
did get the Marathi model and the Life Takers or Life Drinkers or whatever, the
Life
vampires.
Takers. The Life Takers are the flying ones.
Yeah, I'm getting those, and I'm going to be converting them up from my Slanesh army. I'm going to keep Marathi almost as is, except I'm going to give her long, elegant hair.
Yeah,
And
have you actually got the box yet? Because I'm curious how hard she is to put together. Because she looks so intricate.
I don't yet, mostly because bills have been piling up, unfortunately.
Oh,
that week at Adepticon kind of killed my budget for like the next few weeks. But what I'm going to be doing with her is I'm going to have her wrapped around a Trigon, and they're just going to be interlocked and fighting.
I think you've mentioned this last time or the time before. You've mentioned what you're going to do with Marathi.
I know. I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to start going on about the Idneth because, well, anyone who's seen my live streams or my videos on them just know how much I love those models. They're so good.
As for the Life Takers, I'm going to get probably like 2 or 3 boxes of them and use them as Raptors.
Yeah, Raptors, the Zest, both will work.
Well, the thing that I want is I want a Slaanesh army with no Marines in it. It's going to be count as Chaos Space Marines, but they're going to be the Glandhounds. And, well, Josh would probably love this army, just saying.
Does it have a Kraken in it?
I might actually add a Kraken to it.
Well, just get a Deep Mare, get the Achelian King, and you've got something that vaguely resembles a Kraken crossed with a Seahorse.
I'll just put it on a display board with a picture of Josh.
And then tweet it at him because, of course.
Yeah, well, yeah, you have to.
Oh, yeah.
But, segueing into a release that came out last week, the Drukhari Codex.
Yep. And I have no idea how well it's done. They seem to be sort of all right. Like, of the 3 codices we've got most recently from...
It's powerful.
From what I've heard of the 3 Xenos codices, the Necrons, Tau, and Drukhari, the Tau lost... Of the 3, they lost. The Necrons won, and the Drukhari got stuff but aren't as good as the Necrons, is what I hear.
I'm going to say this now, not having a tournament backing this up, so keep in mind, results may change. But from the army list and from the store that I play at and everything, Eldar are still tier 1, like ungodly overpowered.
By which you mean Craftworlds or you mean Ynnari?
Craftworld, Ynnari, Drukhari. You combine them into Eldar soup, and it's just ridiculous.
But most people who, don't power game will actually try and run them mono, and it's probably that. I wonder how they compare on their own.
Well, there is, not power gaming, and then there's just realizing that some units are just good. And unfortunately, the Dark Eldar and the Eldar, well, the Drukhari, the Eldari, and the...
Ynnari.
Well, thank you, Ynnari. They all just bounce off of each other so well. It's like, I kind of have this philosophy with Space Marines. It's like, I have Blood Angels, I have Dark Angels, and I have Ultramarines. I don't even bother looking at anything else in the book because that's a Codex Ultramarines. And it's like, am I taking Guilliman? No. Okay, I'm going to take one of the 2 other books. But there are just things that are good in the books. That doesn't make you a power player. That just means you know what is decent in the books themselves.
Okay, yeah, sorry, my phrasing was a little bit off, but what I mean is there will be a... Sorry, go on.
This wasn't a shot at you, Michael, obviously.
Oh, I know. My phrasing was not great. But what I mean is there will be a collection of people who, for one reason or another, will want to run Mono Drukhari, either for theme reasons or because they don't want to be buying to keep up with every single codex all the time or whatever. And
that is true. I just happen to run into this problem a lot where people are like, oh, you're a power gamer. And I'm just like, well, no, I know what's good and I'm going to run it. If I was going to be a power gamer, I'd run 2 squads of Seraphim with 4 melted pistols, 4 Inferno pistols, 2 plasma pistols, and 2 Magnifiers, 3 Retributor squads, and nothing but this. And that would be my list. Versus what I'm actually bringing is Repentia. And Repentia, oh my god, they're terrible.
Yeah, fair point. My apologies. I guess that's coming from someone who basically doesn't know what a tournament is. So my apologies for that.
Well, keep in mind, Michael, this is not a shot at you. I just get this a lot on my battle report videos because I tend to play higher end, closer power gamers than anything else.
Yeah, I get that. I do. So moving on from that, how do Mono Drukhari really hang out? Because obviously, if you're seeing them mainly in Eldari soup, are they making a dent in Eldari soup, or is it just the same formula?
Right. So this goes back to a point that you made a long time ago, a point that is hammered home by deployment. Mono Drukhari will table you turn 1. Yeah. Absolutely, without question, will table you turn 1. if you are bringing a tank list, if you are a novice player and you're putting things out in the open, if you don't know how to properly use cover, Dark Eldar will not forgive you for that. But if you get them into close combat, well, too bad. The Dark Eldar are really good in close combat too.
So what you're saying is you need to beat them in a shooting war of attrition then?
It's more or less take midfield and control the objectives versus actually, or just blatantly blast them off of objectives and go for those. You have to play to the mission, not to their army.
Yeah, that's very true. I've actually, a long time ago, made a series of videos about what I call aggressive and control lists. So aggressive lists are those that basically will rush you down and dictate the game by basically stopping your opponent from thinking because they have to deal with you.
My sororitas army.
Control lists, on the other hand, are lists that don't really care about what their opponent is doing and wants to do. They'll take the board and force their opponent to react to them in a different way because they'll basically say, right, you want that objective? You're going to have to come and get it, and I don't care if you had something else in mind. And they just control the entire board, lock it down, and say, you can't do anything.
My alternate list.
Yeah, and then you've also got I draw real Hearthstone references when I was playing Hearthstone at the time with the sort of momentum tempo list, which basically, if your opponent can outthink it, you're screwed. But if you can get going, and actually maybe you need a couple of turns to do that, you will run anybody over because, again, you're dictating the game. And I think that's something that 40K is almost too good at doing now. If you start off really well and dictate turn one and or the deployment phase, you kind of seem to not be able to lose unless your opponent is extremely good.
Or you're playing in tournaments like ITC events, which have secondary, 3 tertiaries, and a bunch of other objectives that you have to do.
Yes, bear in mind that that's about 10% of players play by those rules, I suspect.
Mm-hmm. Although it is becoming more and more common, and I suggest to anybody that's listening to this and having trouble with certain players in their playgroup, switch to the ITC rules. Check out their missions, check out their battle styles. It's a really in-depth game when you play it by ITC, and I really enjoy it.
A fair point.
Mostly because you can't table your opponent turn one, because if they have more points than you, they still win.
Oh, table's not on. Okay, yeah. I think you remember. Yeah, you remember you tried to explain the ITC system to me another time.
I did it very poorly, I admit.
Yeah, the comments were impressed. But anyway, right. That's a
Look,
whole point.
I got a stern talking to by Pablo about that.
Oh well, whatever. Past is the past. But yeah, that's interesting that I had it in my mind that Drukhari were going to be unable to go long. They're like every Eldari and Elven army that's ever been. They are a glass cannon, and in the Dark Eldar's case, they are a glass nuke launcher because they will ruin you, but if you can survive it, then they're dead.
Yep. One of the biggest armies that I see them having problems with are any armies that can actually interrupt and fire back. Such as like Dark Angels using plasma and overheating it with a banner, blasting back at them, they'll tear them apart. Anything that has a lot of models, like an Imperial Guard gunline, will destroy the Dark Eldar for the most part.
That makes sense.
And a rapid assault force will destroy the Dark Eldar.
That's interesting. I just think the Dark Eldar will just run rings around them because they're even faster.
Well, the thing is, you can't be faster than somebody deep striking.
Oh, it's Alpha Strike rather than Rapid Assault. I think Rapid Assault, I think like bikes and jet bikes and stuff. I don't think Alpha Strike.
Well, like the Blood Angels, for instance, will more than likely be able to drop too much on the Dark Eldar turn one and control their movements, destroy their mobility. And once you destroy that, the Dark Eldar lose.
Yeah, I don't think they were out long enough for us to discuss it last time, but the Necrons are obviously on the scene as well, and they seem to be handling themselves pretty damn well.
I'm unsure how I feel about the Necrons at the moment. I don't, and I will say this, I don't have experience fighting them too much this edition. I fought them a couple of times. They seemed like, kind of like, and I hate to say this, a buy round. But now with their codex, I do have to face them again, and I want to see what they do in the tournament scene before I make my final call on them. Because I played Necrons back in 7th edition when they were ungodly overpowered. They're the most boring army in existence. You took midfield and stood there the entire game.
And that's why I didn't like playing Tau that wasn't Farsight.
Well, yeah. Tau this edition is actually, with the updates and everything, Riptides are back. So for everybody that sold off their Riptides, I'm sorry.
However, I do believe, and I need to be corrected on this, but I do believe the Tau is still solidly sat in the mid-tier at best. So they've gained, sure, but they're still going to get wiped by most good tournament builds, I suspect.
I would say they're tier 3, tier 2, and with the proper builds, they still can be tier 1. Because, yeah, the commander spam lists are gone, but now there are other things in the book that can do what a commander can do.
Yeah, in the previous book, I was always a real, what's the word I'm looking for? Someone who really promoted crisis suits, and crisis suits were utterly hot garbage. They're still kind of hot garbage, but at least now it's not so bad.
True.
But we'll see how it shakes out. And obviously, we don't know when the Imperial Knights will be upon us. Maybe by the time of the next edition of the podcast, we're not sure, because the Idoneth release could take a bit of time. It seems like they're taking their time with that one.
Yep.
I can't wait for the FAQ. Shield captains need to go up. That's actually in the news, by the way. The FAQ being pushed back. I forgot to mention that before.
Did they give a reason?
No.
Oh. Okay.
I'm really hoping Shield captains go up to 200 points.
Well, when was it supposed to come out?
I am
Last
not
month.
even sure. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Well, that would explain it. Then they probably wanted to wait until after Adepticon and the new codices were done so they could reevaluate, rather than do an FAQ and then have to do another post-Adepticon FAQ after realizing what was the most broken crap going.
One of the other things that we do at my local tournaments, I don't know if this is at bigger high-end tournaments. I'm not sure. It might be the case. It might not be, so I'm putting that disclaimer there. They actually don't let the new codexes into the tournament on the day of their release. You have to wait a week.
That's fair. I mean, for one, it means that people are less likely to turn up with an experimental list and get squashed because the army hasn't been refined yet. And at the same time, it means that people have a chance to learn the army. I get that. I do get that.
Also, Tyranid Flyrants need to get a nerf.
Again?
Yeah, 7 Flyrants, 1 Nova, 1 Adepticon.
Great.
Same list as last edition.
So, as for all the praises we sing of 8th, it's still being won by Flyrants. Great.
In all fairness, nobody expected it because they didn't have Twin-Link Devourers or Brainleech Worms. They were just flying down, landing, and killing everything.
But still, we're in a meta that is Eldari dominated with a side of Flyrants. Again.
Don't forget Blood Angels are there too. And Chaos. Chaos is extremely powerful this edition.
True, but the tier 0 is still Eldari.
I wouldn't say tier 0. There's actually a fair balance of books that can actually take big tournaments. So I would say they're tier 1. Like, I hate the Eldar. I hate facing Eldar because they're the one army that can actually table me, and it happened twice now, and I'm just like, And I mean, if I'm going to be tabled, I'm going to have some fun doing it. I don't want to get my shit kicked in by some little elves. Yes, that is a joke. Anyway, I realized it halfway through saying it. You know what? Done. Michael, just scoff and call me dumb.
Nah, it's fine. I get it. I mean, especially if you are a tournament player, having to deal with the Eldari again must be really frustrating. And I mean,
no, but now I know I can bring my 7 Flyrants again.
All right, on we go. So, in actual news, now that we've segued through the old bit, Necromunda and Forge World and Doombug Gremlays take the wheel.
I didn't hear a word of that. All I heard was Necromunda Doombug.
That's what it is, the Doombug robot thing.
He's not wrong.
The correct term is Decepticon. But anyway, yes, Necromunda having amble robots being added into the game for some reason. I'm not against the idea because it adds a nice little bit of uniqueness to Necromunda. The fact that, hey, you're going to get these pets for your gangs. Now you can have giant robots and squads.
I mean, I kind of want to. I want to say. I don't want to say segue because I like segues. They're fun to ride. But anyway, this kind of reminds me of reinforcements in Dark Heresy, where just randomly a Cannon S shows up, or randomly a Penitent engine shows up. It's just like, haha, we're this gang that can't afford anything. Here's our giant robot.
Well,
which in fairness, they probably stole.
Well, they do make mention of Gang War 3 in the article, so we'll have to see if this is just going to be one superpowered Doom bot.
I tell you what it could be in regards to Gang War 3, because what gang's getting its rules in Gang War 3? Van Saar. And Van Saar, the most technologically advanced house in Necromunda.
Yeah, you're talking to someone who's never played Necromunda or looked into it, so you might need to dumb that one down a tad. That you were expecting an answer
basically, Van Saar's technology is the highest grade and more advanced than any other house in all of Necromunda. I mean, I'm sure you've seen with the preview of their models, their weapons look stupidly high-tech now with their redesigns. Like, they look very traditionally sci-fi, as opposed to, 40K's grimdark aesthetic.
Aren't they the ones that have the stolen STCs?
Allegedly.
Yeah, that the rest of the Imperium doesn't have.
Yeah, so we're talking high-tech versus the other gangs, or high-tech versus, literally everyone?
High-tech versus pretty much everyone else on the planet.
Okay, that's...
Also, rumors hint at Necromunda not just taking place on the planet of Necromunda, but it being used as the title and starting there.
Interesting.
Kind of like how Battlefleet Gothic 2 isn't taking place in the Battlefleet Gothic Wars.
Well, yeah, that's because it's a sequel to a game. This is Necromunda.
Well, even in the sequels to Battlefleet Gothic, like the actual tabletop, they included all sorts of other things that weren't even near Battlefleet Gothic.
I know because the fans absolutely demanded to play like, hey, we want to be able to play as Necrons or Nids. That's literally the main reason. That's literally the main reason why those armies were included in the tabletop game.
Cutting out really hard.
Oh, can you hear me?
You cut out really, really hard. I mean, the audience will have heard it because you're taping this, but you cut out really hard.
No, it's that he got so excited that he went into binary, and we couldn't understand it.
Well, I said, in regards to the tabletop, the only reason those armies were added, like, the Necrons and the Nids, is because there was so much fan outcry they weren't included in the first edition of Battlefleet Gothic. And so they got added in things like, the Citadel Journal and Chapter Approved and that kind of thing.
Which is a great idea for a game to keep it going. Like, yeah, taking place on Necromunda is cool and all, but once all the gangs are released, it's going to be boring and stale. Who's to say that?
Do you know how many gangs there are? Because we got all the houses, and not only that, we've also got things like the Pit Slaves to get through, the Rat-Skinned Renegades, the Scavies, the Redemptionist cults. There is
We've already added Genestealer and Chaos cults as well. Yeah, they've got rules.
I'm not saying that there's not enough. I'm saying that fans will always want more, and if they want to keep the game alive and going, they're gonna need to expand it.
I mean, in the original Necromunda, there was also rules for Orks, Eldar Scouts, and Chaos Space Marines. So they're gonna add ways to expand that as well. So
it would be cool to see some Necromunda gangs on like Void ships, the Voidborn gangs and things like that. That would be really interesting.
Speaking of really interesting, one thing I recently found out in the 7th edition Necron Codex. So how many of you were aware that there was a Chaos Corrupted Tomb World? Apparently a Demon Prince managed to corrupt the entire Tomb World.
I was going to run... I know machine curses are a thing. The Iron Warriors do it all. Have done it before, but on an entire tomb world?
Well, think of it this way. What are Necron tombs made of? Blackstone.
Living metal.
No, the tombs are made of blackstone.
Yeah, and Blackstone can be corrupted by chaos and release more psychic energy.
It can be polarized to be either a psychic inhibitor or a psychic amplifier.
However, we only learned that a month ago.
Consider that either a retcon, or a preemptive retcon, or it was planned from the get-go.
I honestly want to say it's been planned, because it would explain the pariahs and how they're made.
Which haven't really been canon since third.
Shush your face, and by your own admission, just because it's not talked about doesn't make it uncanon.
Normally, no, but in the case of the Necrons, where they got a complete rehaul from the next edition, because Necrons from the 5th edition onwards are completely different beasts from the 3rd edition Necrons.
But if you look at the Inquisition books and the Witch Hunter books, they still mention pariahs.
In regards to Necron pariahs or pariahs when describing
Necron
blanks?
pariahs. I think one Inquisitor actually has a Necron pariah with him. I will have to double check that.
And also double check its release date.
Yeah.
But yes, fair point if true. But okay, so Chaos Corrupted Tomb World as a slightly preemptive to the Blackstone introduction to us in the next edition. That's the thing is, like, why has it only happened once? If it's something that if it's Blackstone related, then the fact that Abaddon has a Blackstone fortress, and presumably, if we're going by the previous logic, considering they mentioned in Gathering Storm, knew about the pylons on Cadia being Blackstone, why has it only happened once?
Maybe because only one person's actually bothered to try.
They've also mentioned that Blackstones were hunted down by Abaddon and destroyed.
Apart from one that Huron Blackheart has.
Well, no, not the Blackstone fortresses, Blackstones themselves.
Maybe.
I wonder. Here's an interesting question. Is Blackstone a naturally occurring mineral, or is it, like, in the galaxy, obviously?
Well, according to Forgebane, there's a quarry full of it, so I'm guessing so.
Well, so it's naturally occurring, and I'm guessing that they do something to it to create it as a polarizer? Or...
Well, no, a material, like a metal or a material can become polarized. Normally in physics, it's by applying an electric charge to it or a field to it. You pull the charges to opposite sides, and and that creates a field. I forget exactly how you polarize something in physics because my brain's not working right now. But a material itself is just polarizable. It doesn't get turned in unless you combine it with something to make it polarizable in a compound. Either a material just can be polarized or it can't. Or it can be made one by combining it with something else, but they're not doing that with Blackstone since it's just its own thing.
And I keep going back to, how did the Necrons lose the War in Heaven?
What I'm actually more interested about regarding Blackstone, I get what you mean about the War in Heaven, by the way, I'll back about that in a sec, is the Mechanicum settled world that either by hook or by crook or by planning had a lot of Blackstone on them. I forget exactly the details, but I believe it was because they found the Blackstone and the materials on that world were just generally really good. That's why the Mechanicum settled them. And yet, at the same time, the tomb worlds have a lot of Blackstone on them. Obviously, the tomb complexes are built out of them. So the argument then becomes, is it natural? Because that would obviously mean that the Necron Empire, as it was, is based on worlds that have Blackstone on it, since they built their tombs out of it. So did they ship it from other systems, or is it that prevalent that it's just on every single tomb world that they colonized, and they said, oh, this world happens to have Blackstone on it, let's colonize this? It seems odd that almost every Necron world has a lot of Blackstone on it.
You noticed that too.
It almost seems too much of a coincidence that either the Necrons didn't either design it, or that they didn't inherit it, or because it just seems too coincidental that every tomb world has Blackstone for it to be an accident. I don't know.
That also begs the question, what happens when they, kill a tomb world? And I know a lot of people can be like, haha, Alexis, you can't actually kill a tomb world. You can. The Orks have done it.
What's your definition of kill?
Deactivate, essentially. Remove the power.
I'm pretty sure the Nids did once as well.
Yes, the Nids have actually... Well, Nids are an interesting thing, because they can pull energy from physical beings, which is terrifying. But anyway, what I'm wondering is, after the destruction of a tomb world, does the Mechanicum go in there and salvage everything?
It wouldn't surprise
That will depend on who destroys it.
If the Imperium destroyed a tomb world, I can imagine the Mechanicus going, this could be useful. Then an Inquisitor just looks at them and go, what? Nothing?
No.
Nothing?
Well, no, keep in mind, not all Inquisitors go in, Xeno shit is bad. A lot of Inquisitors actually collect it and accompany it to make sure that it's safe.
But if there's a Puritan Inquisitor who's with that Mechanicus group, they're going to be like, nope, can't touch that.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
let's be fair. The Mechanicus and the Inquisition have come to loggerheads more than once.
The Mechanicum and everybody has come to blows more than once.
There's even a branch of the Inquisition to monitor the Mechanicus.
The Ordo Machinum, yeah.
Yeah.
The one I've actually just recently looked up is the War of the Beast Mechanicus, who threatened to withdraw their aid from the Imperium entirely. And there was a massive standoff, and it was nearly war on Mars with the Imperium. Until, I think it was, again, and then until I think it was a bunch of Titans marched on the Senatorium Imperialis and said, right, you back the fuck down, if I remember correctly.
Could Blackstone be used to contain that growing
Trix Maledictum?
That is one of the questions in the comments.
Well, no, I meant the actual beneath the Golden Throne. What happens if they negate? Because we know the Emperor can walk around blanks with no effects whatsoever.
Well,
so your logic is
the problem is because Blackstone can be a psychic inhibitor. What happens if you inhibit the psychic abilities of the Emperor?
That's Alexis's
Considering
argument.
The Emperor can walk amongst thousands upon thousands upon thousands of Sisters of Silence with no effects whatsoever.
No visible
and he's regularly
effects.
Depicted as being amongst them. I don't think that he will be affected too much by it.
But at the same time, at that time, the Emperor wasn't concentrating on projecting the beacon of the Astronomicon.
And at the same logic, no visible effect is an important thing to note. Because just because he can walk around and not be like having a migraine, that's one thing. But if it dampens his concentration even the slightest bit, and that either diverts or dims the Astronomicon a teensy tiny bit, you have a shit ton of problems.
Well, the Astronomicon has turned off before. We know this.
And
we know that.
It did.
Oh god, yeah, everything went to hell in a handbasket.
Well, yeah, I mean, Terra was invaded by demons, whose only purpose was to show that Terra is not immune to demonic invasion.
And that was when the Astronomicon was turned off for what? How long was it? Was it a week or less?
A week.
It was like a week or something like that.
About a week, yeah.
And big-ass demons came, and we actually found out that the Sisters of Silence called them Kitans, which is awesome because I was referring to them as Kitans, and I was like, yay, somebody else knows that word. If you don't know, Kitan is demon. But anyway, I know you two know this, but I'm talking to the viewers.
Whenever I hear Kitan, I keep thinking of that character from Mortal Kombat X.
I was going to Master of Mankind, but yeah.
You know, the bug lady from MKX, you know, like, we are from the Kitan.
Oh, Deborah, right, yeah.
Deborah's awesome and terrifying.
Yes.
Anyway, moving off from that little side point. But yeah, I think I get what you're saying, though, about potentially building what you might call like a Blackstone fence, wall, sphere thing.
We'll build a wall and make Chaos pay for it.
Wall. You got me, Remlife.
I wasn't quite sure how to phrase it, but basically putting a Blackstone barrier across the warp portal. The risk is if they do that and it doesn't work, like let's say they try it and the Emperor says, okay, and the Emperor realizes, okay, this isn't going to work. Well, they're going to think it's worked because the Emperor's not exactly going to be able to tell them, no, that didn't actually help, by the way, still kind of got a problem here.
Unless he resurrects Celestine and tells Celestine to go and talk to them for him.
Side point, but if it...
Just give the Emperor a text-to-speech device.
Yeah, there you go. Problem solved.
Knew that was coming.
It's
just one of the things Or if the Emperor thinks, okay, this might work, and thus like dims his concentration on it, and it fails, well, can anyone say shit hit the fan faster than you can say it? Yeah, it's very dumb. And that sense made no sense, I'm aware.
I'm still waiting for Abaddon to reach his final goal and be the true champion of mankind as he always was meant to be and kill the Emperor, and the Emperor resurrects.
I'm still waiting for Huron Blackheart to take over as the big chaos, big bad guy, because he's the most competent. I'm sorry, Abaddon. He has done good things. He's not as bad as what people and the memes say, admittedly, but Huron is just objectively more competent.
What about Mariel Sabathiel? She actually had a full crusade to be successful in every mission.
Huron Blackheart has pirate ships with tank treads. Your argument is invalid.
Alright, you know what? I will give you that one.
Probably best, otherwise we're going to be here until the 41st millennium.
Just remember, Space Marines, the Blood Angels, and I've read this and it cracked me up so much. Do you know what the ultimate fate of people who succumb to the Red Thirst and Black Rage is?
Yeah, they become bloodletters. Well, gorillas.
No, they become bloody gorillas that are super powerful vampires.
So bloodletters.
The Kakaradons become like literal shark people. The Space Wolves become freaking werewolves. Yet people are still going to say, well, because biology, as a reason for why some things can't happen in 40K. And I'm sitting here like...
I'm just confused in regards to Kakaradons. Like, their skeletons turn to cartilage. It's like, hang on, what?
No, I don't study biology, but no.
I mean, admittedly, it'll make them more flexible. But still,
fuck off.
Admittedly, it'll make their bones more flexible, but...
To the point that they'll collapse.
That would be like super cancer.
That is just death. That's death.
And they have denticles all over their skin.
You know what? Let's just move on before I have an aneurysm.
Can we agree that the Kakaradons are probably the silliest thing in 40K?
No, there's a lot sillier things.
Oh, there are sillier things. The Kakaradons are terrifying enough to not be.
The Kakaradons are jawsome. Someone had to say it.
I knew it was coming, and I was trying to bait you to say it, and I'm so happy that you did.
Someone had to say it.
Get out.
Listen here, chum.
I mean, is it really as silly as the fact that Asdrubal Vec got murdered, then resurrected, despite the fact that all receptacles of his essence were destroyed, and the people who resurrected him were also the same people who gave Lady Melis a crystal heart?
And they're also Ynnari.
Yes.
And Sanguinius is being resurrected.
And fuck off.
Or Huron Blackheart's tank tread pirate ships.
Or the fact that they changed what segmentum Fenris is in. It's just like, God.
Look. There are so many like weird little things in 40K. One of my favorite is if you read Black Legion, Kion describes a demon coming into being and how he takes them apart and destroys them. And he actually says that they're material. They have to have like an actual body to materialize. But if you read the Demon Codex, that's not true.
It's probably... The thing is, he's also a psychic, so what he defines as physical, he could probably... If he could take...
explicitly states they are physical. And he knows what an immaterial being is and a material being is because he has a deck of cards of them. He has an Emperor's Tarot deck filled with demons, which is awesome because that's not a Dark Heresy.
I'm just imagining Kale now pulling out one of these demon cards like the Ragged Nut and going, it's time to...
I knew you were going to fucking do that. I knew you were... I was probably going to do something similar, but fuck you.
I mean, I'm just saying, it might just be a TTS reference. Just saying.
But, yeah, that's interesting. Like, it's interesting like how demons are sort of quantified when they manifest, because they're obviously not entirely warp-based, because if that were the case, then the Chaos Gods could manifest.
No. Actually, it says in the Codex they are entirely immaterial.
And in regards to the Chaos Gods actually manifesting into the material realm, did you forget about Malice, who actually did?
No, that's the weirdest thing. There's so many inconsistencies with demons in 40K.
And
You
I
could
think
drop the demons bit from that, and you'd still be correct. 40k is the land of inconsistency.
and also
I
before
know, but
anyone
that's what makes it so good.
and before anyone in the comments starts going about how Malice isn't real, read Heroes of the Space Marines and the story Labyrinth. The Sons of Malice will... No, Lexa, shut up a second. The Sons of Malice warband undertake an 11-century-long ritual to bring Malice into the material realm. And it's explicitly stated as being Malice. So the fact that a god takes 11,000 years to be brought into the real space, it shows it's possible, but we just don't know how long he was there for before he dissolved back.
And also, he's even if he does exist, which I'm not saying he doesn't, he's a much smaller and less powerful entity than the Big Four.
So if it takes a minor god like Malice 11,000 years to be made manifest, imagine how long it's going to take for, say...
You said centuries, so that's 1100, though.
11 centuries. Oh, yeah.
1100.
11 centuries, 1100... Is it 1100? Oh, whatever. 1100. You know what I mean. Fuck
Millennium is 1,000, century is 100.
Yes, you're right. Yes, you're right.
Minor details.
Minor detail.
Minor detail of a factor of 10.
Oh, well, you know what? We don't need to go by your logic. He's a demon. Maybe it was 11 centuries to him.
Well, this is interesting then, is like the rules that demon princes play by. Because demon princes basically play by their own rules compared to other demons, because they're not entirely not physical, and yet they're still demons.
They're completely imphysical. They are taken, ripped apart, reforged into a demon, and the only thing left of them is maybe their conscious, maybe their memories, and that's it.
Maybe it's just me. I don't see demonic transformation the same way. I'm sure that is how it works, but in my head, the way I see it is it's sort of like, yes, their soul is ripped out and replaced with a massive power dump, which is how Magnus described it in TTS, and I'm inclined to believe that. And that just causes them to massively, like, their body fuses with warp energy, and it becomes like a bit of both, and their body mutates in response to that energy, and they become much larger and more powerful, infused with the warp, but not replaced by it. I know that's probably wrong, if you look at...
Sorry, carry on.
If you look at Nemeroth from the Space Marine games, Space Marine game, I should say, when he has his demonic transformation ritual, he's exactly the same. He just looks augmented by warp power.
In fairness, the transformation hadn't been completed.
He wasn't a demon prince either.
He was in the middle of the transformation, but he died before the transformation could be complete.
He also believes he was turning into a demon prince. He could have, for all we know, turned into a spawn. But in the 8th edition Demon Codex, this is where I'm taking all of this from, it says all demons. That includes, like, it's a weird thing, because the only actual demons that still have mortal bodies are Nurgle demons. So when you know this, it makes the Grey Knights so much cooler because of the book Hand of Darkness, I think it is, with...
Yeah.
That's the Yvrain one, isn't it?
No, then it's the Eye of Night. Eye of Night, not Shroud of Night. Eye of Night. Really close names. Audiobook by Greyfax, Grand Booty Greyfax, and a bunch of Terminators. Or is it Terminators? It might just be a bunch of a strike squad.
It's like five Grey Knights.
Yeah.
And a zombie Inquisitor.
When they actually fight against demons, it's not physical. They don't actually swing their physical weapons at them. They actually manifest their psychic essence into basically Go-Go Power Rangers, and hers just happens to be the Megazord. And they fight this demon.
Sorry.
Going
back to Demon Princes.
I'm summing that up really silly, but that's what it is.
Going back to Demon Princes very, very quickly. Can you imagine if, like, the Chaos Gods asked them what kind of form they'd want, and Angron would be like, I want to look like one of those big bloodthirsters. Magnus being like, I don't know, make me look really grand, regal, and powerful. Thorgrim says, make me look like a lair for irony's sake, and then Mortarion goes, I don't know, wings.
That looks kind of cool.
Yeah, but
Fulgrim became what he imagined and what he saw the lair as, which was perfection.
Well, it's interesting like, how many of the Primarchs were augmented willingly, because Angron obviously wasn't. Mortarion is debatable. He wasn't, but he kind of was. It's kind of a middle ground.
Perturabo was kind of...
Perturabo, well, he sacrificed a bunch of gene seed. I think he was trying, so fair enough. Lorgar didn't do anything, and just his Legion made it happen. Whatever.
Lorgar didn't do nothing.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting, like the Demon Primarchs and the way they are and what they are. At least half of them probably didn't ask for it, which is interesting.
I never asked for this.
Although that segues kind of nicely into Traitor Primarchs and the full reveal of Alfarius, since we're still supposed to be doing news.
Bro.
But is it really Alfarius? There, the joke's out the way.
Yeah, it's out the way now.
Oh, look, I am Alfarius. Look how grand I am. I was killed by freaking the Iron Hands dude, Rogel Dorn, and the entire Legion felt
Did you
my
just call him the Iron
backlash
Hands dude?
Yes, I did. I know. I said that as a joke. Anyway, I was killed by this guy, and the entire Legion felt my psychic backlash. So that kind of proves that I died. And then Gilliman killed Omegon.
Probably.
In an anime-style fight, we literally just stared at each other and just swung their blades at the same time, then Alfarius just went...
Alfarius went, oh crap, that's a Primarch, and died.
Then Gilliman just went, omae wa mo, shindaru, nani?
Baka.
But anyway, Alfarius looks pretty damn cool.
He does. He doesn't look like every other Marine. How the hell does somebody that is freaking neon hide?
I have to say, like, I don't know if he's like one of my favorite Primarch models, because all the Primarch models are still amazing, even if some of them are first among equals. I don't know.
Some of them are Rogel Dorn, who just looks like some guy.
Some of them are Lorgar, which just looks boring as fuck.
And some of them Gilliman, who are vastly inferior to the replacement.
Whoa, in fairness, I think the Forge World Gilliman's actually better than the plastic Gilliman.
I agree with the Forge World one being better.
I admit, probably in terms of pure design, it is probably better. But I don't know.
His head also has a better sculpt as well. It doesn't look like some kind of constipated...
Helmet.
Fuck the helmet.
Yeah, okay, head-wise, fine. 30 Gilliman's better.
It doesn't look like someone's granny.
I mean, my favorite Primarch is Garrow, so there you go. I'm saying that as a joke.
I know.
Because I hate Mortarion. Hang on, guys. I'm going to do that one thing that no Primarch should do. I'm going to leave my squad. Oh, I died. I got to play my 30k.
But yes, very good model, I have to say. I can't. What Marine is that on his base?
It's
got like
It's a space
it's a
wolf.
Space Wolf. Oh, it's the Galactus Nebula then. Okay, that's when it's happening.
I was kind of hoping it'd be trying to kill an Imperial Fist.
That would be better.
Then again, spoilers.
How is it a spoiler? Those books have been out for years.
I've had people claiming that I should have put a spoiler up for an incident that came out about 20 years ago.
All right, then people need to stop being stupid. It's that easy.
Yeah, basically...
The grace period is far less than 20 years.
The grace period is probably about 3 months.
I give it like a month.
I never put spoiler warnings up. I basically just say, if you come to my channel and you watch my lore videos, if I'm talking about a topic and there's a book just come out about that topic, I'm going to discuss it if I've got access to the information. You know that, so consider everything I do a goddamn spoiler warning.
Funnily enough, someone complained that in my Lore for Newcomers video about the Emperor, and when we were talking about John Grammaticus, like when he met the Emperor and then he died during the Unification Wars, someone claimed you should have not spoiled that because now we know what's happened to him. It's like, you do realize he comes back, yeah? I mean, he's still alive as of old Earth.
Yeah, because he was talking to Alanius Pius, or Ollie Person, as well. That happened at the Battle of Calth, which is, I know, earlier, but counts.
And then he ends up going on the road trip with Eldrad, Ulfran, and a Word Bearer. How's that for a fun road trip?
Oh my god.
A dick, a
But was
preacher,
that
and an
actually
American.
Eldred? Or was that the psychic projection of Eldred from the future? I'm not kidding. That could actually be a theory.
I didn't realize this was turning into Mortal Kombat X's storyline.
I love Mortal Kombat X's storyline.
No, sorry, it was Mortal Kombat 9,
Also,
sorry, wasn't it? Where
You actually
Raiden went
meant
back in time.
MK9, but
Yes, I did,
It-
yes. That was when Raiden
And
sent
then-
himself back in time saying, "You must win." I was like, you had time to say who. It was not like the hammer connects you a fucking head then. You had time to say it was Shao Kahn had to win, you stupid swat.
yeah.
Also, that story made a stupid amount of retcons for the sake of
Well,
no reason, without the time travel even being a factor in that regard.
technically, it wasn't time travel. It's an alternate dimension, but
He was sending his past self a message.
you gotta read the comics. Just saying.
You done?
I
For
like
now.
Mortal Kombat. Shut up. Mortal
I don't-
Kombat's cool.
I don't have a problem with it. It's just like you rag on me for getting
I'm sorry, but in MK9, when they had like Jax already in prison, it's like, why couldn't you just do his MK2 debut where he ends up having a fist fight with Kintaro?
Because that's stupid.
It was more badass than saying, oh, Sonya had to rescue him because he got captured somehow for some reason that's never explained.
It is explained in the comics.
I'm sorry, that's not good enough. The game should be able to convey the story by its own self. I shouldn't have to go and purchase additional reading material for a video game storyline where it should be easily
No,
explained.
you should, because in-depth storylines are awesome, and you should have to know about the
They
stuff when you
could
go
have fit
into
that
it.
in the game.
Oh no, here
I
we
am
go.
not disagreeing with you on that point.
It's like when people complain in regards to the Ultramarines movie when saying, you should have read the comics when it explains why the scouts were put into the tactical squad. Like, that's not a good enough reason. They were scouts. They should have gone to a fucking
No, that
Devastator
movie was
squad.
just bad.
And the thing is, it was a big author who wrote it. It was Abnett, wasn't it, who wrote that? It was Dan
I don't know.
Abnett. It's like Ultramarines being promoted from the Scouts all the way to the tactical squads of the second company straight away without having to go through the Devastators or Assault squads. I'm sorry, but considering you're in a Codex-compliant chapter before Gilliman's return, all of you would have been fucking put to death for that breach of the Codex Astartes.
The Ultramarines execute deviations from the Codex? I mean, I know they follow it to the letter, but I didn't know they executed for deviation.
Well, it's execution via undertaking a death oath. They did that punishment to Uriel Ventress when he went off and left his company to lead a Deathwatch kill team to kill a Norn Queen. And it said, you broke the Codex Astartes tenets, you're going to do a death oath, piss off. And they kicked him into the Eye of Terror.
Well, that's just stupid.
Yeah. It said, Uriel Ventress, you broke the tenets of the Codex Astartes, you're sentenced to undertake a death oath, don't come back until you wipe out an entire Chaos Space Marine base by yourself. Piss off.
Okay, alright.
Dick.
Remlays, I've raised you this. In MKX, when Scorpion killed Quan Chi, was the greatest scene in Mortal Kombat history.
I'm not denying that, but I'm complaining more about Mortal Kombat 9 not deviating enough from deviating enough with the whole time travel thing, saying everything must change. Okay, so change everything. Everything's portraying exactly the same, except Sub-Zero is now a robot.
He's a Revenant, and then he becomes back to normal.
Also, what was that bit in the end of the game when in the Netherrealm was like a ghost of a robot? Shouldn't it be his normal unrobot ghost in the Netherrealm? Why is it a ghost robot? That makes no sense.
Because that body was made by Quan Chi and then inhabited by a spirit.
It's
The
still,
Revenants are actually physical.
in which case, I raise you this. Why in the next game was he back to being normal Sub-Zero?
Well, you see, because shut up, Rimley. Stop pointing that out. I got nothing on that one. You got me there. I can't justify that. Mortal Kombat is awesome. And they could totally put Captain Titus in a Mortal Kombat game via him flying through the warp, and then the gullah fields shift momentarily, and he gets teleported away and just wakes up.
He'd be
License fees.
He'd be the same size as Goro, at least.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, good luck paying that license.
He wouldn't be too out of place there, too, if you just took off his power armor.
But
And
then he
power
loses his
armor-
entire gimmick.
So, what we're going to see is a Mortal Kombat game with Captain Tires versus Freddy Krueger.
I'm okay with this. I mean, hell, they have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Injustice. They don't need to care.
Thing is, though, like, if he were, his moves would be incredibly boring. Like, his
Bolt gun,
moveset,
chainsword, grenade.
potential Thunderhammer. Like, his fatalities would just be pull out bolt pistol, click, bang. That would literally be it, because he doesn't give enough of a shit to do something fancy.
No, it would actually be really cool. And Titus does take the time to do fatalities. Let's be honest about that one.
It'd just be a fist to the face, make him explode.
Yeah, it would be amazing. But Titus's moveset would probably be something similar to like Leatherface's or Jason's.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, keep in mind with demonic energy and the Mortal Kombat tournament and the spirit being so tough in the Mortal Kombat universe, you can shrug off bolt rounds. I know that sounds stupid, but
Mortal Kombat
magic.
is stupid, and that's the best thing about it, because it's stupid.
I know, it's so great.
Are we
Alright,
getting sidetracked now?
We should probably talk about 40K. Like, this
How
is
about
the
the
40K
questions?
podcast.
Let's jump
I
to
was
the
gonna say,
questions.
you rag on me enough for talking about Age of Sigmar, and then you spend nearly 10 or 15 minutes talking about Mortal Kombat.
In all fairness, me and Remlays could actually have a conversation about this. When you talk about Age of Sigmar, me and Remlays sit here going, yep.
Hey, remember that time Caldor Drago went to the Warhammer Fantasy Universe? Wasn't that fun?
Nah, actually, you went through Mortal Kombat first.
I'm just going to follow Ramsey's original suggestion. I'm just going to do the questions.
His pre-fight dialogue is like, have you ever eaten a tangerine?
There are men in my beard. You are a deranged individual, and you are dead. Wait, what?
You done?
You know that answer is no.
In which case, I'm going to move on before you get a chance to start again. So, questions. Starting us off, would you guys like to see a Titan/battlesuit-focused game akin to Armored Core? If so, what elements of the fluff would you love to see in it?
I have no idea what Armored Core is.
I do. It's a really fun game. One thing that you guys got to look for if you want to do something like that is go to big events like Nova or whatever your equivalent is for this. Your big 40K, your big tabletop events. They always have a Titanicus fight where the only thing you're allowed to put on the field is super heavies. It is so much fun, and they have their own little rule set and everything for them. It is ridiculous because it's played on a floor. The buildings are gigantic, and they actually cover the Titans. There is no way of properly describing this. It is amazing. So in a roundabout way, yeah, it already exists.
Yeah, I think they were asking for it as all. Okay, that might work, but I think a proper official rule set for it is what they're asking for, like an actual game for it. But then Epic also exists, or will
Epic
exist.
And soon Titanicus.
Yeah. Okay, question for Alexis. Based on your theory about Khan being a tool of Tzeentch, could Khan be going the way of Scarbrand and thus be punished for displeasing Khorne?
You know, I had this comment in my Discord a couple of days ago where the Chaos Champions are nothing more than tools of all four Chaos Gods. They just primarily divulge to just one. Tzeentch being the, one that kind of controls all the pieces on the board. I see each and every single Chaos God having a disgraced champion. You have Scarbrand, you have the Mask. Maybe you'll have Karn.
That's 2 for 1.
Details. Mortal champions now. Because Lucius the Eternal is not doing too hot.
He gets his
Or
ass
ever,
handed
but-
to him all the time by everyone.
Which is why they need to bring Mariel Sabathiel into the story more, because she's actually successful.
I still find it funny that Lucius managed to possess a Necron. And that's in the Chaos Space Marine Codex, the new one.
In all fairness, a fart cloud from orbit was able to possess a robot.
The fuck?
The Satan. They were described originally as clouds that were eating stars. But yes, I do see him going along that path.
Yeah, I don't know quite if they can make him do a Scarbrand, because Scarbrand physically attacked Khorne. But there's no way for Khan to piss Khorne off, aside from these, because he betrays other Khornate followers all the time. He'd have
Unless
to.
Karn actually went into the Brass Citadel and started killing all of the... finding a way to actually destroy or kill the other demons.
And Khorne probably didn't care, because Khorne cares not from whence the blood flows, be it mortal blood or immortal blood.
Yeah, but
yeah.
still, a couple of
And
your greatest champions dying would kind of piss you off.
Not if you got a better one. Have you noticed that he will never let Angrath and Scarbrand be in the same place? He won't let them. They both, like, Angrath really wants to kill Scarbrand, but Khorne won't let him. So, I somehow don't think, if Khan stormed the Brass Citadel, basically he'd just run into a wall of dudes whilst Khorne cleared out everyone that was actually, he wanted to keep around.
Or he'd run into Tuska the Demon Killer.
See everything I just said.
I really like Tuska, I'm sorry. Anyway, next question.
Okay, so this is a question that we almost ended up discussing earlier, so I'm kind of glad we didn't.
Oh,
Do you
it's about Mortal Kombat, got it.
Do you think that in a continued effort to keep the plot moving, some faction in the universe will close the Cicatrix Maledictum, as is hinted at in the recent flood, or do you think it is now permanent?
Nothing in 40k is permanent.
The Cicatrix Maledictum will close once the Emperor is reborn and we have 40k Age of Emperor.
I'm okay with that. I like Age of Gilliman, but Age of Emperor sounds cool too.
In case everyone couldn't tell, I was being facetious.
I was 99% sure you were, but sometimes I never know. Yeah, I get the feeling that they won't be able to close the entirety of it, but they will attempt to close, like, corridors of it so they can get in and out. Basically, they'll just, like, use the Blackstone to try and just, like, have a series of bridges running across various segmentums that will also make really good choke points, for the record. But I don't think they'll actually close the whole damn thing, because to do that, well, you'd kind of need to close the eye as well, and they're not going to be able to do that in a hurry.
Just contract the work out to the squats, they'll get it done. They'll do it for 10 and 6, and there's as much beer as they can drink.
Get a bunch of pissed off monkeys. They'll do it.
Not as well as the squats.
Yeah.
Next question.
Let's have a look. This is sort of a question that is kind of, yeah. Would it be possible for the Mechanicus to split from the Imperium, and if they somehow managed it without killing each other, would either of them be able to stand up and function on their own?
I mean, yeah, Gilliman did it.
Of Imperium Secundus, but didn't he also have, tech priests
Forge
around?
Worlds. Yeah,
Likely.
there are industrial and Forge Worlds in Ultramar. But the thing is, I think if you'd have asked the question back in day, yes. But after the Dark Mechanicum incident, as I'm going to refer to the Schism of Mars, the Adeptus Mechanicus became a lot closer to the Imperium, because basically everyone who joined the Dark Mechanicum, broadly speaking, were those who didn't believe the Emperor was the Omnissiah, or the manifestation of the Omnissiah. As a result, that coterie of the Adeptus Mechanicus now are much more intrinsically tied to the Imperium than the Mechanicum ever was.
Well, yeah, because the Loyalists, they end up becoming a fully fledged Adeptus.
Yes, rather than being an entirely separate entity. As for if either of them could stand up on their own, the Mechanicus might stand up on its own in terms of not collapsing in on itself, but it would nowhere near have enough military power to stand up for more than about a century, maybe a millennium tops. The Imperium wouldn't last 10 minutes. Or at least that's my opinion.
Next question.
Have any of you read The First Heretic, and did this change your view on the word bearers? If so, how?
I did read it. I still don't like them.
I'll say this. I'm not a fan of the word bearers, but reading that book, it actually kind of makes you feel slightly sorry for them with the whole, Monarchia incident.
Monarchia was shit, but I still think the word bearers would have fallen anyway.
Yeah, they would have. But this makes you feel this makes you kind of see some sort of understanding as to why they did it. And it's not just because ADB's, fucking fantastic author. I mean, I think in regards to the word bearers, when you dig deep into their backstory and their lore, there's a lot of interesting stuff there. I mean, if you look at the if you look at the Lorgar Primarch novel that Gav Thorpe wrote, out of all the Primarch series, that's probably my favourite one, just delving into Lorgar's childhood and you felt so sorry for him, and you realise how much of a cunt Corferon is.
That's the thing with the word bearers. Like, everybody, or almost everybody, dislikes them to some extent or another, but they're designed that way, and they are incredibly well written. They're not disliked because they're badly written or because they've given plot armor. They're designed so well to be the ultimate person you're supposed to hate. Even if you are supposed to inject
antagonists.
Yes, they are in some ways.
Yeah, the antagonists. Yeah.
Yes, they are. They are the antagonist of it all, but they're so well written that even...
Be right back.
Okay, fair enough. You can still see, with the trait of Legion, something I've always said you have to do is understand them. This is why I don't like Perturabo and the Emperor's Children, and the Iron Warriors and the Volgar and the Emperor's Children so much. I can say that because Alexis just disappeared. Is because I can't relate to them and understand their reasoning the same way I can the Thousand Sons or the Night Lords, or in some ways the Word Bearers, because the Word Bearers are just incredibly well written, and you can relate to say, okay, I understand why. I still think you would have gone anyway, and I still think they're idiots, but I get it, and that's what makes them so good.
So I understand why you did it, but you're still a cunt, essentially.
Broadly. Yeah, and that's why some trait allegiance I think are less relatable than others, right? Say what you will, the Iron Warriors' reasons for falling are just not
petty.
Relatable. Yes, petty as fuck.
It's like, Space Rabbit's like, I don't like him. Yeah, I killed my sister by strangling her to death. And
then you have the Death Guard, who basically Mortarion wasn't going to go. Like, Mortarion was the last one to go, but basically he realized the Emperor is a hypocrite, and then he became said hypocrite.
And then Alpharis was like, I'm going to do this so I can save the universe.
Yeah, that was always going to... Like, the Alpha Legion are just likable because memes, but their plot's just interesting enough.
And the World Eaters are likable because, Angron's kind of a tragic figure.
The World Eaters, you don't relate to the World Eaters, but you do sympathize with them because they were screwed out of the gate.
Yep.
And then, who are the other ones I'm missing? The Night Lords. Kurz is a Marmite figure. I know why people love him, and I know why people hate him. He is such a Marmite character.
But in fairness, he kicked a whole bunch of bodies out of a plane and started singing It's Raining Men. The singing part might not be true, but he did kick a whole bunch of bodies out of a ship into the middle of a capital city.
Yeah.
I still wish Lion didn't let him live.
That was mainly because Sanguinius... No, I'm wrong. Lion was going to kill him, and then Sanguinius, or Gilliman, stopped him. And then
it was
Sanguinius...
Lion that stopped him.
No, what happened was one of them was going to execute him, and one of the other three stopped him. And then the person who stopped him was going to execute him, and then Lion stopped him. It was kind of a weird one. I feel like Lion was going to kill him, and Gilliman stopped him, and then Gilliman broke Lion's sword, and then Sanguinius was going to kill him, and Lion stopped him because he had a vision or something. Because Lion, in the interim, Lion effed off and then ran back.
It's very confusing. Next question.
Continuing from your last podcast and taking into consideration that there are 6 living, quote-unquote, Primarchs for the Imperium and 6 living Demon Primarchs for Chaos, what would it take for the 6 main Xenos factions, Orks, Eldari, or Craftworlds, Drukhari, Necrons, Tau, Tyranids, to get a Primarch equivalent unit? This is sort of following up with the debate that we were having about like having a powerful enough personality to carry and be on the same tier as the Primarchs.
Don't they already have that? The Avatar of Cain, the Avatar of Enid, Dazgul, Yarick, Celestine. They don't have one for Tau yet.
Farsight.
Belisarius Call, Grand Booty Greyfax.
Swarmlord.
Yes, Swarmlord or a Norn Queen.
Just bring back the Dagon Overlord. Bring back the Dagon Overlord. He was the best.
They need to introduce the Silent King to make it work. They make reference to that.
No, I think Imhotech is good enough. Imhotech is pretty powerful.
I know what you're saying. I come back to the point I was sort of trying to make last time. I think I'm probably going to make it badly again. I don't see them on the same level. I know tabletop-wise they can all kick each other's ass. I'm aware of that. But I don't feel like they carry the same gravitas, the same amount of just, awe factor as the Primarch. Like Ghazghkull can, if he gets another power boost in the next codex. The Silent King can, because, well, he was the lord of the entire race. But then I start running out of ideas, because an Avatar of Cain, there's a lot of those. The Avatar of Inyad is...
Here's an idea. Since the Asdrubal Vector has now died and got resurrected and now claims to be a Dark Muse, which is effectively a minor Eldar god, like the akin of a living saint in their mythology.
You see, that works. Vector's a huge name already, and you give him a power boost, like becoming a Dark Muse, and suddenly you have someone who, both gameplay and lore-wise, can compete in terms of star power, in terms of drawing people and saying this is a character you want to get behind.
In that regard, you could just say, well, Trazine goes into his collection, activates something, comes out stronger.
Or he gets on the Hulkbuster suit.
He probably has it. He gets into Catfrack Terminator armor. This is awesome!
They just have to be careful not to turn it into a MacGuffin at that point. They're just going to be careful with how they handle it if they do something like that.
Yeah.
Yep. The Tyranids can always create a new character. I mean, the only race that is really inhibited from creating a character to just be essentially a Primarch equivalent is no one. No one is limited to that.
The Tau would need a really big, powerful battle suit that's way beyond the XV-85.
Get big battle suit and put the AI engrams of Almvar in it, considering his AI engrams are still around.
Yep, they are.
So, Almvar in a big robot suit. There you go.
Yeah. And there you go.
Yeah, it can be done. It's just that they've got to be careful how they handle it, I think.
Nah, they're just going to handle it like Gathering Storm. Everything explodes at once and everything's on fire. You don't like it? Too bad. Deal with it.
I still think the Guard probably need a better equivalent rather than just Yarick.
I mean, at this point, Yarick is the closest thing to a freaking immortal that they have.
I mean, you can always say, I don't know, bring back Lord Solar Macarius as a living saint or whatever, I don't know. That could work, considering he was the greatest Imperial Guard general of all time.
All time. I'm going to let you finish, but...
Well,
anyway.
Considering he actually, conquered worlds outside of the Astronomicon.
Fair.
And then everyone's on. We got to go back because we can't. All we can see is that tiny little dot of the Astronomicon on the horizon. We can't go anymore because we're scared. And then he started crying because there was nothing left for him to conquer. Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Historical accuracies. Right. How does one set the Gamacles Gulf on fire? Which is what the Mechanicus did after the third sphere of expansion.
With a lot of petrol.
Well, technically fire doesn't really burn in space because there's no oxygen, but...
It's a good metaphor for what they did.
Yeah, they I honestly don't know how to explain what they did. They just kind of burned the whole thing.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
The warp did it.
Yeah, but Remlays, the warp doesn't exist. Best counter argument 2018.
That's an inside joke.
No, just some idiot on a Facebook group decided to say the warp doesn't exist as a solid counter argument. I'm like, are you dumb?
So moving on.
Okay. So here's a question: what would have happened if either the Shields of Prospero activated or the Thousand Suns basically didn't get wiped out on Prospero? Let's say that they won or they just managed to hold. What happens?
Probably still be loyal.
Yeah, that's the question. What would Midas done after that? Would he have gone to Terra? Would he have still had to go and try and join Chelsea because he was granted a traitor by the Imperium? What happens?
I honestly think he would have gone before his father.
Well,
I think he would have just gone, well, Dad just tried to kill me. Horus now traitors. Fuck both you guys. I'm staying out of this.
Gilliman in the background with his fingers like, hey, join Imperial Secundus.
I think it would have basically depended on what exactly happened in the defense of Prospero. Like, if the Thousand Suns had to reach for the superpower sorcery that they had to reach for at the end after that Warlord Titan exploded, then maybe they'd have been too susceptible to corruption and the Flesh Change would have overrun them at that point. If they'd been able to hold reasonably well and actually not had much issue forcing the defenders back, maybe they didn't kill Russ, but they managed to just hold generally, they might have been able to make a decision and say, look, you've tried to kill us, can we talk now, please? Whereas they killed Russ, let's say that actually did happen, he got psychoed from across the city. At that point, I think they're forced to become effectively renegades. So it really depends on what happened would influence their choice, I think.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, so now that the Silent King has returned to awaken the remaining Tomb Worlds, this due to encountering the Tyranids, we know this. Do you think he will reveal himself or stay in his self-imposed exile after he's finished? The information on the Silent King's the new Necrons Code, that information's been around since 5th edition. I don't know about fear about biotransference. I think that's new. But basically, when the Silent King's done, is he just going to leave the Necrons to it again, or is he going to actually come back and make a difference?
No idea.
He's going to kind of stay like the Emperor and stay, hidden for another couple thousand years, even though he could interfere and help out all of his kind, and just he doesn't.
The difference with the Silent King, though, is unlike the Emperor, who can just interfere through psychic chicanery, the Silent King has actually had to reveal himself to help awaken Tomb Worlds. They know he's back, or at least those who've come across him know he's back. So if he comes back and they beat the Tyranids off, let's say, he's kind of not really... Fuck! I really need to work on my phrasing.
Pretty sure the Norn Queen would be happy.
Okay, they defeat the Tyranids and wipe them out. Let's try that again. Let's try that again. What did you think about that?
Holy cow.
Okay, so let's say the Tyranids get defeated and destroyed to the last by the Necrons.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. The Silent King is now back, and everyone knows he's back because he's had to reveal himself in order to get the Two Worlds united. Against the Tyranids. So he's not really going to be as able to just fuck off and leave them to it without very good explanation. So he's either going to stay around and keep influencing, or, if he can, re-establish the command protocols.
I'm still giggling at you, Michael. I'm sorry. Although, I do have a question. about this. If the Tyranids attacked during 30K,
Mm-hmm.
do you think the legions would have been able to fight them off and destroy them?
That depends on how long it took before, because how long it took for them to get noticed. Because the problem that happened with Behemoth is it took them so long to realize what was going on, but by the time they hit Ultramar, they were almost unstoppable.
Yeah, but then one chapter took them out.
The entire war effort of an entire empire took them out.
Well, it was the Imperial Navy that did most of the work, the Imperial Guard.
It's
and
the 500 worlds
chapter.
combined. The 500 worlds combined took them out, yes. The problem is if Behemoth came in on the Eastern Fringe before the Imperium got out there, let's say they hit where they hit, and they had plenty of time to take out all the worlds north of Ultramar before the Great Crusade could run across him. At that point, they're almost too powerful to stop, particularly if Kraken and Leviathan, or whatever they termed them back then, were hot on their heels, because they'd almost be able to strike too far too fast.
Here's my point. 1,000 Marines took out an entire hive fleet.
With a
multiple
fuck ton
times.
of help. With a fuck ton of help.
But 100,000 Marines.
But didn't the ones in regards to McCrag also have the ship basically activate an uncontrolled warp jump, which drew the majority of the fleet into the warp? And that's the only reason why I managed to win.
No, they hit the Norn Queen.
Still a fuck ton of help.
But at the same time, they fly around with that as escorts in 30K.
Yeah, I feel like if a full legion was brought to bear on a hive fleet fast enough, they could isolate it and kill it.
Well,
But
considering the fact that technically the very first hive fleet was actually Colossus, and that was M28.
also consider that Behemoth were complete effing idiots by comparison. The first Tyranid hive fleet was a bunch of idiots that just charged face, and they've learned their lesson now, to the point that in the devastation of Baal, how many chapters were there? What? How many was it?
All of them.
8, 10, 14? I forget the number exactly. But a lot of chapters were there in relatively high strength, I bear in mind.
Actually, they were at mid-strength, but yes.
Enough chapters were wiped out that it was a lot, probably of order 10,000 Astartes there, and they were fucked. They were completely fucked by Leviathan had it not been for Kabanda and the Great Rift.
But now imagine if the Blood Angel was there. Like the proper legion.
It depends.
First off, the naval engagement against the Tyranids would almost stop them in their tracks. Especially with the naval engagement of a Primarch versing them. Not just Marinus Colgar, who got his arms and legs chopped off and yet still somehow managed to... Anyway.
The Primarchs are definitely a swing factor. That's got to be considered.
I mean, I personally think if Fulgrim ran into him in space, he'd be like, wow, what are these? Oh, they're attacking my ships. Okay, I'll dance around them. All right, they're dead. Moving on.
But again, going back to High Fleet Colossus, they appeared in M28 and weren't officially destroyed until M41. So you actually had a High Fleet going around the galaxy for about over 10,000 years. Just completely unopposed, going willy-nilly, and no one seemed to fucking notice. I mean, granted, this particular Hive Fleet was made of Zotes, but still.
This is the thing. The Tyranids are such a variable because they adapt so fast. Like, if one Hive Fleet came in and got smashed by X Legion, I don't care which, if the first Hive Fleet comes in and gets smashed, and the second one comes in and gets smashed, we've seen, 10 Hive Fleets of different names by now? I can think of it. I know there's 6 in the Codex, but there's more than that actually existed.
Yeah, Behemoth, Leviathan, Jormungandr, Tiamat, Colossus,
Kraken, Gorgon, the new one, Kronos.
Also, bear in mind when a Hive Fleet is destroyed or killed down to the last, the Tyranids can just remake that Hive Fleet.
Exactly. This is the problem. The Tyranids are near innumerable and incredibly adaptive. A Legion could beat one Hive Fleet, no problem. But you can't beat infinity. Infinity beats all.
Unless you're Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, because then you go beyond.
Exactly.
And there are numbers beyond infinity in mathematics. I know that as well. Yes, the legions could beat a Hive Fleet. They could beat 2. They could beat 3. They might even be able to beat 10. But if the Tyranids could just keep recreating themselves out of the destruction of one Hive Fleet to make another, as long as they don't run out of biomass, which they won't, almost certainly.
Unless the Space Marines realize what they're doing and start cutting them off like the Tau did.
And what the Blood Angels did.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got to realize that fast enough and all of that stuff. And I don't know. It can be done.
With the leadership of a Primarch, I personally think they would be able to crush a Tyranid Hive Fleet in a matter of years.
Hive Fleet, yes. Hive Mind?
Maybe not the Hive Mind itself. Although I would like to see how the Emperor would react to the Hive Mind. Then again, knowing the Emperor, he'd probably get choked by it and say, harder, daddy. But anyway.
He'd make contact with it and all he'd hear would be wacka, 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 wacka. And there's bound to be someone listening who won't get that reference.
Me.
Pac-Man. You tell me you don't know Pac-Man.
I know what Pac-Man is, I just didn't realise that was what that was in reference to.
Yeah, that's the sound he makes when he's eating all the pills. Like, wacka, 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 wacka.
Right.
See, we talk about classic video games. Michael is out of his element.
He's so young.
He's innocent. You gotta remember he's a Tau. Anyway, next question.
Okay, here we go. Why did the Emperor not just put Angron down and roll the Warhounds into another legion, a la the Lost Primarchs?
Well, he was going to, wasn't he?
Well, yes, he was. That's the thing.
And didn't Malcolm kind of say, actually, no, you might want to keep him. He might be useful. Just send him in the front lines. He might be able to wreck shit. And it's like, I suppose you're right.
All right, honey, you're right. I'm sorry. I won't kill all of our children.
Good, now let's go home and watch The Notebook and have a nice warm glass of Pinot Noir.
And play some Pac-Man. No, but Angron did have his uses. And the other Primarchs were more than likely mutated or beyond saving.
Likely mutated? Did you look at Sanguinius?
And Magnus.
Well, no, I mean the other two. The ones that were destroyed.
2 and 11. Right. 2 and 11 are just like, we'll never know what 2 and 11 were like. Not
we
really
know they're male,
anyway.
That's really it.
We don't know what number 2 was like as well. Remember in Fulgrim, when Fulgrim was like, yeah, I'm going to take this planet all by myself, and he was like, hubris. I'm very contemplative. I'm very quiet as well.
We know a teensy tiny bit about it.
I'm quiet and contemplative, and we know that the second Primarch also went to Solomance at some point.
What? Because I thought the Clone Fulgrim was Drazen's first.
It was. But he went to explore the area around Solomon's because Falconex, I think his name was, the Emperor's True Camp. He told Fabius Bowers, like, oh yes, Fulgrim told me about this. He says that the second Primarch visited here during the Great Crusade, but we don't know why.
Huh. There's. Yeah, I don't think we'll ever get a name for them. I don't think we'll ever get a Legion name for them. I don't think we'll get almost anything beyond like tidbits for them.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll conclude on that. Okay.
We know they're male. We know that they're arrogant. That's about it.
Pretty much that sums up every Primarch in a nutshell.
Well, except Fulgrim.
Fulgrim, not arrogant. Get out.
No, Remley's got it. Anyway, next question.
Right, okay, yeah, I'm just going to move on now. Could the argument be made that in order for the Orks to stand a fraction of a chance against the Imperium in law, wouldn't GW or the Ork gods have to power Thraka up proper style? I would argue that Orks can rise to the challenge exponentially since the beast was Orks after the Great Crusade, diddly diddly dee, and then launching their own crusade against the Imperium. Basically, does Thraka need a power boost to make the Orks worth a damn?
No, Thraka needs to get over his depression.
No, what the Orks need, they need to all come together under one singular leader.
Which Gazgul is currently trying to do.
He's trying to do, but he hasn't succeeded yet.
Not exactly.
Because there's too many other big name Orc warlords. Example like Nazdrake, for example, or Wazdaka.
Well,
Nazdrake
he's at
wants to
Nazdrake
Gazgul.
right now.
Huh?
That's the one he's currently with, right?
No, he's with Blacktooth on Octarius.
Yeah,
But I
Nazdrake
know
was Messina
Nazdrake
4.
actually works with him.
Nazdrake was Messina 4.
Yeah, he allied with Nazdrake for that one campaign. Then when it went to shit, Nazdrake was like, "Oh fuck this, I'm off."
Actually, no. The deal was you give me your best mech and access to teleport technology, and I'll give you Messina 4 as a war, not to hold as a war.
Oh,
that
yes.
was the deal. But in response to Gazgul trying to unite the Orcs under one army, no, not exactly. The way I think I remember it is he's going around the galaxy starting up massive amounts of wars in order to trigger the Ragnarok. He's trying to start war without end, not unite the galaxy under him to rule the galaxy. That's more the beast shtick. Gazgul's stick is the war without end, the Ragnarok, where the Orcs will rise up and drown the galaxy in war, basically.
All I can imagine is when Gazgul finally gets to the point where he's at that, a warp rift will open up and Tuska will pop his head out and be like, "Ha! Did it first, nerd!" and then go back in.
But speaking of Orcs, I think this is the reason why the Beast Arises series actually happened, because I think Games Workshop realised the Orcs have become so much of a comical fodder that no one takes them seriously. Let's make a series where they're like about to wipe out humanity.
And then nobody took that seriously.
Even though it's actually a pretty decent story.
Yeah.
Not arguing that, just saying a lot of people didn't take it seriously.
Or even know about it.
Admittedly, it's one of those areas that I know about, but I don't know loads about. Like, I've been coming across bits of it in dribs and drabs here and there, like looking at the beheading and stuff like that. But, yeah. One of the funnier ones that I found from that is the Ecclesiarch who decided, you know what, fuck the Emperor, let's all just surrender.
Yeah.
The Ecclesiarch who went mad and wanted to surrender to the beast.
In all fairness, it's the beast.
And he literally turned around and said, "I, for one, welcome our new alien overlords."
Ha.
That kind of is how it went. That is kind of how it went, except with a bit more mad raving and religious spin.
Next question.
Does the Imperium keep track of webway locations, and if so, do they attempt to use them?
Yes, and I don't think that they've attempted to use them. They have used them before, see Gathering Storm.
That wasn't their choice, but yes.
But they are aware of some of their locations.
I think in regards to the one being on the fucking moon, they kind of have to know where it is.
Yep. Actually, if you read the Black Legion books, Kion knows quite a few of them. And they do use them. One of my favorite books, by the way.
In fairness, Kaon isn't, Imperium, though.
Not at all.
Well, close enough.
Not really.
Not even close.
I mean, he's not really Chaos either.
He's part of the Black Legion.
Yeah, but Black Legion isn't inherently Chaos either. They're
It's
more
run
like...
by Abaddon.
Yeah, they're more like renegades than anything else. If you read the books, you'll actually find this out.
I mean, I know Abaddon
They reject the open use of demons.
I mean, I know they're not like... I know
And
Abaddon's a
Abaddon
bit
claims
of...
one as his own personal hand weapon.
Details.
Yeah, Abaddon is a bit of a mortal purist in that he doesn't want to just give over the Black Legion to demons like the Word Bearers did. I know that, but they still serve the Chaos Gods very, very openly. They're not renegades.
And considering that when the Black Legion was quote-unquote formed, the Sons of Horus Terminators, they were all demonically possessed.
And he knew it.
Yes.
Which is why he always put them on the front lines.
Because they're also extremely powerful shock troopers.
Yep.
It'd be stupid not to put them on the front line at that point.
I still look at that book as more or less demons are, well, as Abaddon put it, demons are a tool.
Yes, and that's his shtick, is he may not want demons to be the dominant force of the Black Legion, but the Black Legion still fights for chaos. It just makes use of demons rather than being subservient.
No, the Black Legion fights for themselves.
But they still use demons. They still use demons. I mean, Chaon had 2 demons. He had one that was a wolf and one that was a lynx.
Chaon had hundreds of demons.
I mean, as his own personal pets. He still used them, though.
Yes.
So
but they were tools.
Yes, but that still doesn't mean he was going to be like a renegade. I mean, the Relictors are renegades. The Soul Drinkers were arguably renegades that were slowly falling.
By definition, they were renegades.
In all fairness, pre-heresy, Thousand Sons used demons all the time. Chaon even talks about this.
As their familiars, yes. But that was before anyone even knew what a fucking demon was. That was before
Chaon kind of knew.
That was before everyone knew the dangers of chaos was.
Again, Chaon kind of knew.
Kinda.
But he's also a prodigy that's one of the strongest psychers in the galaxy.
And that. I don't know. I get what you're saying, but when I think of renegades, I run down the list of something like the Knights of Blood, the Soul Drinkers, the Relictors, the Red Corsair, the Astral Claws, not the Red Corsairs, they're not renegades, they're actual Chaos Marines at this point.
Yeah.
And the Ashen Claws from way back when. They are what I class as renegades. And you could technically, if you want to be going down that route, say the Alpha Legion. Because they are quite clearly not part of the Imperium and will fight the Imperium if they have to, which I know does happen, but they're not Chaos Space Marines.
Again, see Shroud of Night. Those are to prove your point.
Fair. But yeah, I don't consider the Black Legion like renegades for that reason, because they are obviously not part of the Imperium and they don't fight for the Imperium, obviously, but they don't fight for themselves. They do still fight for chaos. They will make open use.
I have to disagree. In Black Legion, they explicitly state they fight for themselves.
And yet they're more than willing to use the servants of chaos, both mortal and demonic, in their arsenal, harness the powers of chaos, and many of them will be devoted to the chaos gods. I mean, Abaddon bears the mark of all 4 of them. He wouldn't do that even if he didn't fight for them.
I would say he's a middle ground, because you have things like the Word Bearers, the Blood Slaughterers, and other chapters that are completely devoted to their gods. Same with the Emperor's Children. The Black Legion is not that.
Yes, but you could say the same logic for the Iron Warriors, therefore.
Or the Night
That's why I put them into the same category.
But then you're then saying the Iron Warriors are not Chaos Space Marines by that logic.
Yes. Chaos Space Marines, I would say, are fully corrupted. Things like the Thousand Sons are Chaos Space Marines. Things like, the Butcher Horde is Chaos Space Marines. I think I'm not saying that they should be taken out of the Chaos Space Marine book. This is not what I'm saying. I'm saying they still fall under the veil of chaos. It's just they're more closer to the renegade point than the full chaos point.
Yeah, I think there are 4 definitions of a Space Marine force these days: Loyalist, Renegade, Chaos Renegade, and Chaos. So Loyalist is, everyone in the Imperium. Renegade is your soul.
No, that's not true either. The Blood Angels are very, very close, and the Flesh Terrors are very close to Chaos Space Marines.
They fight for the Imperium. They are loyalists.
Read Drinkers of Blood, and there's one short story which has one of my favorite quotes in it, which has a berserker talking to a Flesh Terror, and the Flesh Terror is falling to corn.
Yep, and also see the devastation of Baal, where the Knights of Blood, and by extension the Flesh Terrors, who shared a planet with them at the same time, were offered all the blood they could handle by a commander and flat out said no.
Saying no to a demon and being controlled by their god is 2 different things.
Saying no to a demon who was offering on behalf of Khorne. I wouldn't, because if they're still being loyal, I can't call them Chaos Marines. If they slip, fine. If they slip, fine. But as of today, they are loyalist.
Loyalists to the Imperium, still servants of chaos.
That applies to literally everything and everyone.
Exactly. That's why chaos is the ultimate threat.
And why also chaos can't win.
Well, it doesn't apply to the Grey Knights, but yeah.
Yeah, but the four definitions I have is that loyalists...
And the Custodians. And the Sisters of Silence. That's about it, though.
Yeah, the four types of space marines you have. You've got your loyalists who fight for the Imperium, in whatever scope that is, and are accepted by the Imperium. That's a second catch point. You've got the renegades who have been chucked out of the Imperium and either fight still for the Imperium, just not being allowed to, or for themselves without serving chaos. You have the Chaos Renegades, which would be your possibly Red Corsairs, and maybe that's where you put the Black Legion, who will fight under Chaos's banner but are not fully in thrall of Chaos. And then you have the Chaos Space Marines, which are your other main traitor legions, like the World Eaters and the Death Guard.
Yep.
Is that a fair assessment?
Yes.
Good. I'm glad we agree on something.
You know somebody's gonna say that we're arguing about this, but we're actually agreeing quite happily.
I think it's just a matter of definition, really, as to what you class them as. Because in a broad scope, they are Chaos Space Marines. If you throw if you chuck them in a box, they are Chaos Space Marines. They need to subdivide that box down to make it work. Which I think is something you kind of always need to do, is try and get on the same page with your definitions.
Yeah, because at the same time, if you put Dark Angels, Blood Angels, Ultramarines, and Space Wolves all in the box, they're just Space Marines.
Yes, and you do need to break it down and go Codex Deviant, Codex Compliance, and so on and so forth until you end up with every single chapter in its own box. And then you have the Red Scorpions, who are the biggest dicks ever.
Oh, you mean the Nazis?
Oh my God!
Look, we're not going to talk about that.
I wasn't going to use that exact phrase, but God, the Red Scorpions are bad. Okay, the question for me, would you say that the Tau Codex was slightly meh or not? I just wish we got some new rules or abilities that gave the army flavor, also rip XP8. I haven't played with the Tau Codex, so I don't know how meh it is. I don't think it was as good as it could have been, but then again, we're comparing with 7th edition where Tau were very, very good and 6th edition where they were broken. They're in an alright spot now. Flavor-wise, I think they actually got a lot of nice little bits of flavor, though I think they obviously have pushed it further. Particularly with the fact that with the set tenets, you can now actually play Farsight Enclaves the way they're supposed to be played, which is kind of aggressively and up close. You also get the Fusion Blades back, thank you very much. And you do have some flavor. The problem with the Tau Hub is they don't have enough lore on some of these things to have that flavor. We know what they do as a whole, and we know what the Farsight Enclaves do as a whole, but the flavor for Borkan and Sisea and Delith was kind of just made up on the spot. So it's not that the abilities don't have flavor, because they do. It's just that the lore doesn't always give them enough flavor to build on, if that makes sense. And yes, the XP8 could still do with another point drop or another buff, because they're still not good enough. But hey, beside the point.
Next question.
Yep, that's what I was looking for. Who is the best normal human from the Horus Heresy era?
Oh, I gotta give it to Latara Saren.
Yeah.
Yeah, the comment goes on to say, and why is it Latara Saren? So they completely outthought you there.
Yeah, I mean, if not her...
I mean, let's be honest, anyone who can stand up to Angrot and tell him to his face to stop being such a pussy deserves a fucking medal.
Who is that guy that mortal that came back during the Beast Arises series who's 1,500 years old? Oh, God, I can't remember his name right now.
Oh, the founder of the Inquisition dude.
Yes.
Oh, cock. I know his successor was Venom.
Hang on, I'm going to giggle at that.
I know that...
He turned full James May.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't even need an answer anymore. Let's move on to the next question.
Yeah, I'm so annoyed that I can't...
From this point forward, his name is Cock. Got it.
But does he beat off Nids?
And I thought that I was the voice of reason on this podcast.
Not today, you're not.
Not today. Not today. All right. Maybe last one. I might find another one before we wrap this up. The more books I read from the perspective of Chaos Space Marines, the more I get the impression that they seem more likely to maintain honest, true friendships with each other than their loyalist counterparts, particularly the Emperor.
Thank you.
Is this common, or is it just a case of exploit of exceptional main characters?
No, it's literally just the Black Legion books.
That's technically exceptional main character syndrome in a way.
Sort of, yeah.
I think in regards to them keeping friendships, I think it would, obviously will depend on the chapter / warband. Like, I think with the Space Wolves, they'd be more likely to be like, like, hello, Bjorn, how you doing today? I slap you on the back, or something like that.
What any Space Wolf has ever peed on Bjorn?
I have no
Why
idea.
the fuck did you bring that up?
They're dogs. Dogs need to mark their territory. Maybe he wants that suit after Bjorn is done with it.
Anyway, whereas, say for example, like the Red Corsairs, it'd be like, it's like, hello, Hatoka. It's like, I don't like you. You're a cunt. I think in regards to the Chaos Space Marines, it's more a case of not so much they have genuine friendship. It's just the fact they're more blunt and honest with each other because they don't give a fuck.
Yeah, the only Chaos faction is really that.
They have no reason for decorum of any kind.
Yeah, the only factions in Chaos that will pretty much use political maneuvering is the Black Legion and anyone with any relation to the Zinch. And that's about it.
And the Web Bearers.
Is that political maneuvering or shouting at something until they get their way?
Same thing, isn't it?
Demon into it. I mean, if you go by American politics, you're not wrong. My country's run by Orks. Anyway.
Can I get one to finish? Just a quick clarification for some people. I know that the Imperial Guard and the Imperial Navy were separated, yes, but can the Imperial Guard utilize atmospheric aircraft? Yes, but they're not theirs.
I mean, technically, the Sororitas have access to the Thunderbolt, the Avenger Strike Fighter, so...
Yeah, but they can have their own, they're not... Yeah, almost every aircraft...
No, they actually buy it.
But in the case of the Guard in particular, they are almost exclusively on loan from the Navy for that engagement. The only one I can think of where the aircraft was officially attached to the regiment was Steel Eagle, the Valkyrie that has some special rules from for Apocalypse a long time ago. It was a Valkyrie gunship that replaced its heavy bolters with snipers, and it was Katachan, I think.
Also, don't the Elysians?
They should really have their own fleet, but I don't know if they do. That's the thing.
I know the Catachans do. They have a type of airplane that only flies on Catachan. Oh yeah, I should probably say it right. Catachan. It's actually Catachan.
It doesn't really matter.
No, there's somebody going to argue with me in the comments for that.
Yeah, but 99% of people who watch this probably watch GTS and so will have seen that.
Hopefully. Or they're just going to argue with me for the sake of arguing. I guarantee there's going to be a comment down there now that's just saying I'm arguing for the sake of arguing. Especially with Michael.
And it's all because the warp doesn't exist.
Yeah, this is all true. These are facts in a fictional universe. I'm sorry, whenever somebody tries to say, the fact is, when talking about fiction, I just kind of giggle at them.
Yeah. Anything else to add on that point? Or do you want me to do one more and then we'll move on to anything else we have to say?
I think we've got time for one more.
Okay, which one do I want to do? Can the original 19 organs from the Primaris Space Marines be used to make old Marines? So could they take Primaris Gene Seed and make an old one? I guess they're saying.
Depends. Is it Fabius Bile? Because he could literally do anything.
I think the answer is yes, but if you also got the organs to make a Primaris at the same time, why would you go for an older Marine when you can make brand new and improved Marine?
Yeah, kind of.
That's tougher and more durable and larger and physically stronger.
Remley's, remember during that Warhammer Live event when they said normal Marines can be turned into Primaris Marines?
Yeah, whatever happened with that?
Nothing.
The closest we ever got was the fact that in Dawn of War 3, Diomedes has a Primaris skin. That's about it.
I have been wondering that one for a while. Like, are they writing a story about that?
Funny enough, I've asked Josh Reynolds about this, I've asked Gav Ford about this, I've asked Graham McNeil about this, and all of them, and I've asked Robbie McNiven about this as well, and all of them are like, I don't know. None of them know about this. So...
Or they're not allowed to say anything about it, I don't know.
Well, yeah, that could always be a caveat as well, but still, it seems a bit weird that the Warhammer community team will say, yeah, this can happen, and then you got the lore writers to be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
This is the thing now? What do you mean Gilliman's back?
That was so
Since
funny.
when?
That was very funny.
That
So, am I getting
was
paid for
pretty
this?
funny.
That's fine. Now let me kill off the Empress. I've destroyed one universe, I'll do it again.
Jesus Christ, Josh, you needed to calm down. He is my spirit animal.
We should get him back.
He should. He was so much fun.
I feel like if we can get like a third Black Library author or something, try and get all three of them in a room at once and just see what shit happens.
We
Interrogation.
have never actually talked to each other.
Did you send the Discord yet?
It would actually be funny if they started arguing lore and we're just sitting back all eating popcorn like, Remlace, you madman.
That's the thing, I feel like Remlace would just be going toe-to-toe with them, and that's just like, oh god.
So, what do you mean
But
there's
yes,
a Drukhari cabal that worships malice?
No, could you imagine like ADB trying to explain like the Black Legion to Josh Reynolds who's explaining Fabius Bile? No, he can do whatever he wants. No, you have to stay consistent. Like, you can't just make the Primarchs again. I killed them off. Well, too bad. My characters are cool. You can't actually do that, though. Like, where is he getting the resources for these? He's a Chaos Space Marine. No, that's not a good enough reason.
My fictional character can be up your fictional character.
Yeah. Well, I watched this video a while ago. I can't remember what the video's name was, but somebody showed this to me when I was at Adepticon. And it was, everybody just has the bigger dick or my dad can beat up your dad argument with their characters. And everybody just kind of gets together and they constantly like maybe read each other's books and then make their character better. I'm sorry.
But yes, we should definitely try and get the Black Library team as many as possible on here, and then maybe try and get as many of them in a room as possible and see what the fuck happens.
Oh, that would be utter chaos. Like, the warp wouldn't even be able to handle it. It would be another war in heaven.
It would put the anniversary live stream to shame.
It would. It really would.
But yes, that is your questions for this week, ladies, gentlemen, and Xenos of all ages. If you wish to leave a question for the next time, leave it in the comments with the word question so that we can find it more easily. Thank you very much.
I'm just imagining everything that Michael's saying has a Tyranid that has an excited look on his face.
Is it excited he's going to get beaten off? I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm going to end this right here. Is that okay with you guys? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I suppose.
Thank you guys for joining us for this lively episode of Adeptus Podcastus. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave questions for us. Please leave comments for us. Do the normal YouTube stuff, I guess. Watch our stuff. I'm so done with this.
Yeah, after last episode, which was a bit more of a quiet affair, this is a roaring return to form for the memes and stupid shit.
Yep. Anyway, guys, I'm Alexis the Eco Queen.
This is Tactica Imperialis.
This is Remlace from 40K Theories.
And have a good night.